Hi and welcome to the Data 7 Embroidery channel. In this video I'm going to take you through the basics of block editing, where I'll show you some of the differences between condensed, quick condensed and quick expanded format, simple, quick, easy block modifying facilities such as flipping on the horizontal or on the vertical axes, and resizing to a certain degree, where the difference between condensed and expanded format differences are really highlighted. Okay, so there's two ways to mark a block. There is the standard easy rectangular box where you will mark a design or a portion of a design on screen where it's easy to do so, or you can use point editing where you can manually mark the start and the end of one or multiple blocks. And in that case, how to do the manual start and end I'll cover briefly in this video, but I'll assume you've watched the basic point editing video entitled The Basics. In this video I'll be using a design that we created earlier under the how to digitize column stitches, which is in my recent files, which is called ABCDQCD, which is quick condensed format. So there we have it, just the letters A, B and C, and again you can see the what I'll keep referring to as the crosses, which are the condensed stitch points, not the expanded stitch points, so not every stitch. So in this first example I'm going to show you how to very easily modify this design as a block, and I'll just go through some basic block editing features. So if I wanted to edit the whole design, I can just double click anywhere in the canvas here. So I've double clicked anywhere in the canvas. You can see that it's highlighted the whole design as a block, and it's taken me straight into block editing. Instantly I can see some fairly obvious tools here, which is we can increase the width, we can decrease the width, height, we can rotate, and we can flip it on the X or the Y or the both axes. When we increase or decrease using the keyboard or rotate, the steps that it rotates will be, we can increase those steps here. When we're resizing the design, if we wanted to lock the ratio, the X and Y axes, we can just click this here. So I can just show you what that does very quickly. So here I'm able to squash the design or make the design a lot thinner individually. So I'm changing the width independent of the height. So I'm just going to exit here, and you can see that it's actually taken that edit. I'm going to change it again, but this time I just double clicked on the canvas again just to reiterate that. I'm going to lock the X and Y. So if I change the width or the height, you can see I'm changing the height here and the width is automatically changing. If I unlock it, I can make it taller without making it wider. Exit again, and you can see I've edited the design back to pretty much what it was before. Double click again. I'm going to flip it on the X axis, and it's telling me what I'm doing at the bottom here on the status bar. So that's showing me that I've flipped it on the X. I've not flipped it on the Y yet. So I'm going to press, come out of block editing. The exit means come out and accept the changes. And you can see that it's actually flipped it back to front there. Double click again, flip it on the Y, exit. You can exit. You can see that it's flipped it on the Y this time. Going to double click again, flip it on both this time, which should put it back to normal, back to how it was, as it has done. So the interesting thing to note here is because it's expanded format, it will compensate for stitches automatically. Either all of the design or part of the design. So at the moment we've just got what we've done so far is marked the entire design as a block. Well, really not even marked it as a block. We're just treating the whole design as a block. We've not marked any blocks at this moment in time. It's just showing you how we can very quickly change a design, and indeed if it's condensed, compensate for stitches. So I'm going to show you what that actually means. So at the on the taskbar, sorry, on the status bar, we can see that we're looking at a scale of the design's at 4.19 scale at the moment. So the actual size of the design is it looks like that, a scale of 1. And if I make the design fit the canvas window, you can see it's now 5.46 zoom. So you can see between the column stitches, you can see the actual gap. Now that density, as I've talked through in the digitizing and various other videos I've done, is that it's utilizing the design preferences, and by default it's using a column density of 4.2. Now that's not changing. I'm not going to change that throughout. It is going to be just under 0.5 millimeter gap between each of the column stitches. So what I'm going to do is fit the make it a scale of 1. What I'm going to do now is double click the design again, which takes me into block editing. I'm going to lock the X and Y axes because I don't want the ratio, I don't want it to be distorted, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to make it about twice as big. Well, I say twice. Again, looking at the status bar, you can see that the scale on the X and Y is 2 times. You can see the actual size in centimeters. You can see where I've moved it, which I've not moved it at all. It's still, the origin is still exactly the same. I've not rotated and I've not flipped it, but I have increased it by twice the size. So I'm going to click exit now. So now it's redrew the design, and you can see the stitch density is still the same. I make it fit the window. So now I'm at 3.2 scale. So in order to increase the design to fit the canvas window, last time it was 5, now it's 3.2, proving that I've increased the size of the design, but the column density remains the same, and therefore the stitch count will be compensated. It will increase. So I'm going to do it I'm going to take it the opposite way. I'm now going to my X and Y is still locked. I'm going to bring it down to, this time, to 0.5. There we go, 0.5. I'm going to exit. And there we go. If I fit the design again, it's the scale is 5.82 again, and it's showing you an indication of it's going to have 818 stitches in it if we were to convert it to expanded. So looking at those stitches, going to make it actual size one more time. I'm going to double the size again, exit, and you can see down here it's now going to have nearly double the amount of stitches, 1500 stitches, compensated for stitches. So that's showing you the benefits of having your own designs in condensed format. It's worth noting at this point that all monogramming produced in this system is all condensed format, and your digitizing, anything you digitize and create in the EDS is also condensed format. So ultimately you want to convert it to expanded format to sew on an embroidery machine of any type, Tajima, Baradan, or your home formats. But if you keep your source as condensed, you can go into this design, and as I've shown in the point editing for condensed, very powerful for changing the look of a design, inserting other bits of designs, removing bits of designs, increasing or decreasing the size of the design, and it compensates for stitches not only on columns but on fills and indeed also running stitches. So the whole design is compensated for stitches no matter what size you make it when it's condensed format. So labouring the point, condensed format is very, very, very powerful. I'm just going to go to one extreme now and show you that the scale is 1. I've increased the size of the design to 1500 stitches. I'm now going to increase the design quite large. I'm going to nearly 2.9 times the size. Exit. So I've got a scale of 1, and you can see that the design is actually massively compensated for stitches. So, but the column density is still 4.2, so worth noting. And indeed now there's over 4,000 stitches in. So that's the basics of block editing. I'm just going to open up the original design again. So I'm not going to save my changes. And I'm going to show you the manual marking of blocks. So at the moment I've double clicked, which turns the whole design into a block without marking it as a block. Now under the edit menu option, we have many options for blocks here. Select the design as a block, which will give me a cross, and I can indeed mark the entire design as a block. What that means is it's put a start and an end point over the entire design. It's all a block. So if I was to go in edit, modify block, or control B, or if I was to right click the mouse button to bring up the context menu, I can modify the block section there, and indeed it showed me the whole thing again as marked as a block because I did mark the whole thing as a block. So I'm not interested in that because marking the whole design and changing the whole design is easy. I've already demonstrated that by double clicking. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to deselect all the blocks, so there is no block in here. I'll prove that, but if I go to modify block section, there are no blocks found. So going to the semi-automatic block editing selection, and I'm going to select the B here. So because it doesn't cross any other parts of the design, very simple. I've marked the B as a block, and to prove that, if I now go into modify block, it's just highlighting the B in block editing. I can move that down. As you can see, I can make that fit. I can pan out. I'm going to modify the block again, but this time I'm going to increase just the size of the B. Move that down a bit. Okay, so again, it's condensed format. It is modifying the B and leaving the A and the C the same size. Okay, so again, modifying block, and I've got all these options available to me. Again, I can flip it. I can flip just the block, which is the B, on the X axis, which I've done. I can flip it on the Y, etc. If I wanted to, I could duplicate the block. So I have two B's, and then when I modify the block, what it's actually done is, because I've duplicated the existing block, it deselects that block and makes my copy the one and only block. So I can do that many times. I can so I go into the menu, duplicate the block again. Okay, and modify the block, which is just this B. I can put that over there, etc. So you can see the results of that. Okay, and of course, whenever a block is marked, I can delete the block section. So as you remember, this was the block. I duplicate it to this B over here, then I duplicate it to the B that I've just deleted. So any block that is marked, I can delete. So if I make that actual size, in fact, I'll just pan down a little bit there. So what I can do is I'm going to mark the block again. So that is select the design block here. So that B is now a block. Modify. You can see, but I'm not going to do anything with that. And then I'm going to go in and select this as a block 2. I'm going to modify. So now I should have both the B's marked as a block and just those B's. So you can see I can have multiple parts of the design as a block. And indeed, I can then, if I wanted to, delete that block. So that just leaves me with the A and C. Okay, so that's all I'm going to show you in this video about the condensed block editing. What I'm going to do now is just load up the original file again. I'm going to save this as expanded. Save it into my designs folder here. I've already saved it in a previous video. I'm going to save it again. Yes, I'm going to save it again. I'm going to refresh, and you can see now the condensed stitch cross points have disappeared and the black dots representing the expanded format have appeared. So I'm going to do a very quick similar exercise. So go to modify block, and you'd expect to see no blocks found because it's a brand new quick condensed design. I'm going to select a design block, and I'm going to select the B again. I'm going to pan out. I'm now going to modify the block selection. Each case I'm pressing the right mouse button for the context menu. Okay, it's given me the B. That's great. Remember, this is quick expanded. Fit the screen, and you can see there that the B has indeed moved. What I'm going to do now is modify the block one more time, and I'm going to increase it in size as I did before. The X and Y axes are locked, therefore it's increasing both the X and Y at the same time. I'm going to exit out. I'm going to fit the screen. You can see that now the A and the C has indeed remained the same because I've not changed those. But the B I've made bigger. Great, that's what I wanted. However, look at the stitches. They're less dense. That's because it's not compensated for stitches. It's just made the B bigger, and there will be bigger gaps between the B. Because it's not condensed, it's only expanded. It does not compensate for stitches. Hence why the condensed format is very, very powerful and important. Just two more examples, two more demonstrations of the block editing here. One is the direction of the block. So at the moment, the block, if I pick up go into point editing very quickly down here, just follow my I'm paging down here in point editing. Look how the stitches are sewing, where they started. So they started here in the middle of the bottom B, and they're going to go all the way around. So I'm just going to exit that. The B is still marked as a block. Just to confirm, I'm going to modify. Yeah, that's still marked as a block. I'm going to go in and I'm going to reverse the block selection. Yep, that's okay. I've exited. Now, looks more or less the same, but what it's actually done, in some circumstances, you may need to reverse how a part or the whole design stitches from front to back. You want it to go one way instead of another. So I can demonstrate that now if I go back here. You can see that it's actually sewing in the opposite direction now. In some cases you may want to leverage that facility. Okay, the last part of this demonstration will touches on point editing. And I touched on the point in the point editing, the basics video, where you can manually mark the start and the end of a block in case you can't easily put a rectangle or a box over the part of the design you want to be a block. You may want it to be a block for one of two reasons. You want to be able to take it out. You want to be able to copy it to clipboard and insert it in a different location. You want to mark a particular color and move it or strip it out altogether. And incidentally, I'll just show you the paste from clipboard. So the B is still marked as a block. I'm going to copy that block to clipboard. I'm going to now deselect the block, deselect all blocks. So if I modify block now, so the B is no longer marked as a block. I'm going to go to point edit. I'm going to go to this part in the C. These are expanded stitches. So just go around. In fact, I'll just press the control and button there. Just a little bit close. There we are. So I want to insert the B there now. So I can either go to modify the block if there's a block defined straight from point editing to block editing, or I can paste a block in here. So what I've done is I put the B into clipboard, into the memory. I've now pasted it. It looks exactly the same because what it's done is it's pasted it over the exact same location. However, if I go into modify block, it takes me straight into block editing from point editing. I'm going to move that over here. I guess you're one step ahead of me. The original B should be there and the new B should be here, jumping out from this part of the C. So I just press the enter key in that case instead of pressing exit. So yeah, it's left the B in the original location. I copied that to the clipboard, if you remember. I've then pasted it straight out of the clipboard over to here. So that now remains as a block. Okay, so some fairly interesting features there, I hope you'll agree. I'm now going to open up another design to show you how I can lift blocks or mark blocks manually. Again, this touches on the point editing video, and I'm going to use the two hearts design here for my example. Okay, so that's got 5 colours, 4 colour changes in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that a scale of 1. I'm going to go into point editing. In fact, before I do that, I'm just going to modify the blocks. No blocks in there. The blocks can be saved with the design. So I'm going to point editing. I'm going to go to. I'm going to bring out the red hearts. So what I'm going to do is go to the first color change, which will be the yellow, the second color change, which will be the pink, and then the beginning color change, the beginning of the red color change there. I'm going to press the S button on the keyboard. You see the S has popped up to say that is a color change. Sorry, the start of this block. I'm going to go now to the next color change, which is just before the black. I'm going to press E. So in theory, that will have marked just the red heart shapes, both the 2 red heart shapes, as a block. And as you saw in my previous example, if it's worked, I go to modify block, and it should be just modifying the hearts. Move that over here, press exit, and indeed it has. You can see how it's now just moved the hearts out of the main design over to the left. So an example where this may benefit is where you want to strip out a colour. In this case, this is a seeding or a fill stitch. and I may want to just have the outline. And rather than deleting every single stitch, I can just search for the colours end to end, mark them as a block, and then if I go into here, right click for the context menu, delete the block section, and indeed now you can see that I have just the hearts. It actually deleted the two colour changes for me, because what I did was I marked the both the first colour change and the last colour change within the block. What I should have done is on the end of the red colour, I could have gone back just one stitch and marked the very last stitch and not the colour change, because I've just deleted both colour changes. But that's showing you how powerful it is for your block editing. You can of course have multiple blocks in there. I could have marked two individual colours and moved them or deleted them straight away, instantly. I can save those to disk. I can manipulate them in whatever way I desire, and of course I can resize them if I want, especially if it's condensed format. Okay, that concludes this video on block editing for the EDS, the basics. I hope you found it useful. Keep an eye out for further videos.